Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Tired of hot, uncomfortable dress shirts that don't hold up? Meet Serve Clothing. The mesh collar shield blocks sweat stains, and built-in vents keep you comfortable under suits, all backed by a 2-year guarantee. Right now is your chance to get the best for free. Head to serveclothing.com/win. Enter for a chance to win $500 in free Serve shirts. serveclothing.com/win. Dress shirts that actually serve you. No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents aged 18 or older. Void where prohibited. Entry must be received by May 31st, 2026. Official rules and details at serveclothing.com/win.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, it's a Friday. Let's get it, folks. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are out and about today, and we are down to one of my favorite places on the planet. Dare I say my favorite place? It is Bar W Beef here in Nephi. Is it a drive? A little bit. Is it worth it? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Off of exit 222 in Nephi. Come on by, say hi, grab yourself a bite to eat. The Bar W Steakhouse is now open. That is right. We've talked about it forever. It is now open adjacent to the Bar Dub Grill. So if you want the burger, you want the shake and everything else that's going to be awesome at the Bar Dub Grill, that's available for you. If you want to bring your wife and your family by for the steakhouse, guess what? Reservations now available. Go to barwsteakhouse.com, claim your reservation, and come on down and get one of the finest steaks you will ever have in your entire life, with all the incredible sides to go along with it. It is a premier destination location for a incredible steak. So come by and check it out. Let's get it, folks. We got a lot to get to today. Nick Olczyk's going to join us coming up here in just a moment. In fact, he joins us right now from the Utah Mammoth broadcast. Nick, how are you?
Scotty G, great to be on with you. I've been listening lately. You're always doing a fantastic job. So appreciate you having me on, and looking forward to talking some Mammoth hockey.
Nick, I appreciate it, man. So talk me off the ledge. This team feels like they're wobbling a bit after giving up the hat trick. And look, that dude's going to score goals on a lot of teams. He's been doing it for a long time, but that one hurt last night.
Yeah, it was really a rough game. I think overall, just obviously in terms of the result for everybody rooting for the boys in black. But being down at ice level for the TV broadcast, it was as intense or as chippy or as ferocious of a game as I've ever seen in this team's history. And it all started when, Mikhail Sergachev was going after a couple of guys early in the game, and then Tom Wilson began to insert himself into the game verbally and physically, and there were some rough shots that went back and forth for both teams. We saw some fisticuffs, some that were separated by the lines people, some that were not, including that great fight between Lawson Krause and Tom Wilson. And, I think, look, even when you go through games like that where it's a grind, it's a battle, you got to have your head up to see teammates standing up for teammates like Lawson Krause did there, for standing up for that hit that I did not love from Tom Wilson on Jack McBain. I just think that that's something that makes it very obvious that this group is close. There is a real cohesive feel, but I think that also sends a message to the rest of the National Hockey League, whether you got 9 games left or whether you're 9 games into the season, that if you're going to try to take a liberty on one of our guys is going to come after your guy. So that was one part of the game I think that I did like, and I'm not at all surprised because they've been doing it all last year and this year too. But in terms of the game, Scotty G, I think it was one of those where, look, the Mammoth had a 3-1 lead. And, you got to find a way to not just protect leads, but build off of them. And, there's been times this year where the foot has been let off the gas from time to time. And yes, it's a learning experience, but at this time of the year, with 9 games to go, you're you're currently sitting 4 points from being out of a playoff spot as Nashville has begun to surge with 6 wins in their last 10. They just had the 5-game winning streak broken. LA starting to play better, and the Seattle Kraken too are within a shout. So these games are getting tight. But in terms of the game last night against the Washington Capitals, an unbelievable showing from the grade 8 Alexander Ovechkin, but really it had a playoff style feel, considering the play between the whistles as well as the extracurriculars after it.
So I want to go to Ovechkin. Obviously, he doesn't have the same kind of movement as he did back in the day, but at the age that he's at now, to get a hat trick is just absolutely incredible to watch. And what is it that allows him to continue to have that level of success at this point in his life?
It's a great question, Scotty G, because I think his game really has evolved over the years. And in Alexander Ovechkin's heyday, in his absolute prime, he was one of those guys that he could go score a hat trick, he could snipe one past the goaltender, but he could also be a bowling ball and run you into the 8th row through the glass. Like he had that uncanny ability to change a game, whether it be with his stick or with his body. But I think as years have gone on, he has become a lot more selective with when he chooses to be physical. And I think that's been a big reason why he has lasted as long as he has. And, there's been 14 of his 21 seasons where he's played at least 77 games of an 82-game season. And that's not even taking into consideration the lockout shortened years, as well as the COVID shortened season too. So I just think the remarkable durability of his career has not only allowed him to get to this point, but he has really turned from a very physical style of game to now he just kind of sits in the weeds and he waits for his opportunity to shoot the puck. And our great sideline reporter, Sarah Merrifield, actually chatted with Nate Schmidt before the game, and Nate Schmidt had spent a couple of years playing with Ovechkin in Washington. And the one thing that really stood out to me is when Sarah asked him about Ovi, Nate Schmidt mentioned that his shot, sometimes Ovechkin doesn't even know where it's going. And so then the goaltender can't even read and know where it's going. So it's an amazing ability to shoot the puck, to overpower goaltenders at times, sometimes when accuracy really isn't relied upon. He just has such an overpowering shot. And the last thing on Ovi, Scotty G, is, the love of the game and being down between the benches last game, whether he scored or whether he was on the bench and his teammates scored, he was just as happy and excited and exuberant that a puck went into the back of the net for his team. So as he approaches the ripe old age of 40, he is really still playing the game, and from what I can see, experiencing the game as I'm sure he did as a kid, because that's the guy that loves hockey and too broke Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal-scoring record, which I don't think anybody thought would ever be broken. And so now just to imagine years down the line for somebody breaking Alexander Ovechkin's record, it's pretty unbelievable, but records are meant to be broken. But for now, he is the greatest goal scorer of all time, and a guy that plays the game with about as much joy as anybody.
After watching, and I know the win-losses aren't where you'd like to be, but after watching Connor McDavid and then Ovechkin last night, we've seen some talent on display. I want to circle back just because I like to kind of get your reference on the overall standing of some of these players that are coming into Delta Center. If people don't really appreciate the history of the game and the greatness that they're watching night in and night out, and I know this is a big but if there's a trophy or two attached to Connor McDavid, when it's all said and done, if he stays on this trajectory, will we issue his name in the same breath as Mario and Gretzky?
Reggie, I just sold my car online.
Let's go, Grandpa. Wait, you did?
Yep, on Carvana. Just put in the license plate, answered a few questions, got an offer in minutes. Easier than setting up that new digital picture frame.
You don't say.
Yeah, they're even picking it up tomorrow. Talk about fast.
Wow, way to go. So, about that picture frame.
Forget about it. Until Carvana makes one, I'm not interested.
Car selling made easy. On Carvana. Pickup fees may apply. Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
I think you will, especially considering the track that Connor McDavid is on right now. And for those that have yet to see him live in Utah at the Delta Center, April 7th is when he and the Edmonton Oilers are coming back into town. And you know, what Connor McDavid has meant to the city of Edmonton has been immense, yes. But I also think it's important to put some context into sometimes these great players do what maybe you don't see in other sports. Connor McDavid signed a 2-year contract extension. This is his last year on his current deal. He's making $12.5 million. That is far from what the top player in the NHL is making, that being Kirill Kaprizov in the $16 million range. So now all of a sudden, Connor McDavid, to try to help his team and not handcuff them in terms of him making a massive salary, elects to sign a 2-year contract extension at the same amount of money. And this is a guy that could and should be making more than anybody else in the world, elects to take a massive hometown discount to try to stick it out and win in Edmonton, considering they've been to the Stanley Cup final and lost in the last couple of years. So I just think that speaks to Connor McDavid, the person, the player that wants to bring a Stanley Cup to Edmonton. And when you look at the numbers, Scotty G, this guy is playing a video game on rookie difficulty in the league. And look, there's no easy games. It's all due respect to everybody else that he goes up against, but it's the skating, it's the creativity, it's the being able to make plays at top speed, upwards of 23, 24 miles an hour the next time. Or if some of our listeners right now are driving and they see the speed limit sign at 25 miles an hour, that's how fast Connor McDavid skates on a nightly basis. But 785 games played. He just surpassed the 400 goal mark. He's got 402. And he just made it past the 800 assist mark at 801. And he's 29. And this could be a guy, I think, that he could very well play till he's 38, 39, 40 years old. So if you give him another decade or another 11 years, he's already got 1,200 points in less than 800 games. This guy has, and I hope, will be around for a long time to come. So I don't see why there's a reason he couldn't get another 1,000 points, another 1,200 points, considering the shape that he's in and how well he takes care of himself. So, I think pound for pound, skill by skill, I think Connor McDavid is the most creative and the best hockey player in the world right now. And I think when you look back on his career, which hopefully is a long time from being over for the good of the game, he will absolutely, in my mind, be mentioned in the same breath of Gretzky and Lemieux.
One of our favorites on the planet, Nick Olczyk, kind enough to hang out with us. He's forgotten more about hockey than you and I will ever know. So we always like to tap into that resource. So you got a 3-game roadie coming up at Los Angeles against the Kings, which is absolutely an incredibly important game. Then the Kraken, then the Canucks. 6 available points. A successful road trip will be how many of those available points, brought home to Salt Lake City after that roadie?
I think to try to get some consistency back in Utah's game, right? You lost 2 in a row, only 3 wins in the last 10 games of a possible 6 points. Look, Vancouver is out of it. We've already established that there's no easy games in the National Hockey League, but you absolutely have to get 2 points against the Vancouver Canucks. And then you're taking on LA and Seattle, as you mentioned, Scotty G. Both those teams are on the outside looking in. LA's 4 points back of the Mammoth, and LA's 1 point from being in a playoff position, 2 from being firmly in that second wild card spot, and then the Seattle Kraken, they're 3 points from being in that second playoff spot. So, I mean, these games, not just big for the Utah Mammoth to continue to be in that top wild card spot, currently sitting with 80 points, but those games are massive for LA as well as the Seattle Kraken. So in those games, I think you should absolutely go into it in those 2 games and say there's a possible 4 points. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to get 4. And I think when the Mammoths are playing at their best, and when things are clicking on all cylinders, and it's rare that every part of your game is playing top notch. I think this team has the leadership in that room, and they have the understanding of the importance of these games. And I think, too, a little bit of rest is going to help, because after that LA game, it's not like they continue on the road. They're going to have 4 days, the 29th, the 30th, the 31st, and the 1st, to then get ready to go up to Seattle and then to play Vancouver on that following weekend. So hopefully those couple of days they can use to get some rest, yes, but also to work out some things in practice. So this is the time of the year where you're really not looking to change a lot. You're not looking to make any major adjustments. You're trying to fine tune. You're trying to make sure that your team can get their bodies in as good a shape as they can, get as much rest as possible, to make sure that when you do go into those huge games that your optimized energy levels are at about as top as they can be. But in the next road trip here, Scotty G, 6 possible points, I think you have to be looking for 4 or 5, and there's no reason why this team isn't thinking that they can go 6 for 6, especially considering the next 2 games have major playoff implications.
Nick Olczyk joining us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. So, Nick, I know there's people out there to be like, well, we're a little concerned about what's going on between the pipes with the Mammoth. I would ask you this from your perspective as a broadcaster and as a player. There are times where you feel like you're in the zone, and there's other times where you don't feel like you're in the zone, and you're kind of battling a little bit. How hard is it for goaltenders to get right? Because so much it seems like their play is just based on momentum.
Yeah, I would say that there's something to that, Scotty G. I think there's also something about the guys playing in front of them. If there's defensive zone breakdowns, if there's turnovers at the offensive blue line, and then there's an odd man rush the other way, or a turnover in their own end and leaves everybody kind of caught off guard. Those are tough stops to make. But for the struggles that have been here lately for Utah in goal. Like, let's just paint the picture here and talk about the season in totality for Karel Vejmelka. I mean, he's got 32 wins at this point in the season, and that's good enough for second most in the entire National Hockey League. Only Andrei Vasilevsky of the Tampa Bay Lightning, who has been a top goalie for seemingly his whole career, has more with 32. And there was a long stretch where Karel Vejmelka was on top of Andrei Vasilevsky with more wins. And so, yes, there's been ups, there's been downs. Would you rather have a great stretch happen at the most important time of the year? Yes. But right now for this team, I think it's a rallying point that they need to support their goaltenders even more. And I will say, for the vast majority of games this year, whether it's been Vitek Vanacek or Karel Vejmelka, the one thing you asked of your goaltender is to give your team a chance to win. And I think that they have done that on more nights than not. And yes, there have also been games where both Vanacek and Vejmelka have stolen games for their team, where maybe the guys in front of them haven't played as well as they needed to. So, yes, some nights, Scotty G, from a goalie's perspective, the puck looks like a golf ball. And other nights it looks like a big, colorful beach ball. And the hope is that here down the rest of the stretch here is that it looks more like the latter. But I think you can't put losses just on goaltenders. It is absolutely a team game, and so look for the team defense, but also the puck management up the ice to try to go to another level here to support their goaltenders moving forward. Because on a lot of teams, Scotty G, teams play differently in front of their starting goaltender as they do their backup. When the backup is in, you're a little more hesitant, maybe not going to be as risky. You're going to err on the side of hesitation and defense because, if we give up an odd man rush, we're not overly confident in them. I don't sense that at all. I think this team plays the same way, whether it's in front of Vanacek or Karel Vejmelka, and that's a great thing because these guys are loved in the room. And on their day, they are very good goaltenders in this league. So let's hope that they can string together a couple of big performances because the Mammoth are going to need both guys the rest of the way.
Oh, yeah. Before I let you go, I always like to get your perspective on things that we see that just doesn't look right for some of us that are new to the sport and learning the sport. 21 penalty minutes from Tom Wilson last night.
Yeah.
That's a career high for him, but just how rare is that number? Because that seems like, Nick, that seems like a bunch.
Yeah. If we were in Scotty G, if we were in the 70s and the 80s, that might have been a little light. It's the 20 penalty minutes may have been a little bit on the lighter side, but for these days, yeah, absolutely. And look, Tom Wilson, no stranger to the penalty box, no stranger to getting involved, and he is a big, intimidating, scary force out there. And the interesting part about his game is it's not just the penalty minutes, it's not just the big hits, many of which have crossed the line leading to suspension, but he is a guy that can score, and he can be a very productive player when he elects to try to score as opposed to trying to run somebody into next week. But he is public enemy number one in many cities that he travels to as a member of the Washington Capitals. But yeah, 20 minutes in the box, that's a lot. But for him, he is no stranger to racking up some big numbers and big totals on the under the PIMS column in his box score.
Well, Nick, we appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us as always. Always good stuff. We got to do this again, man. This is you explained the game so well for us. We appreciate you helping us out in this evolution of this market is becoming, and it, trust me, is very quickly becoming a hockey town. And I think you and the broadcasters there have had a big part to do with that. Scotty
G, appreciate the kind words. That's why we're here. We're here to entertain and inform and hopefully teach someone something along the way. So we appreciate the kind words. I'll pass that along to the rest of our squad. And anytime you need me, I'm more than happy to jump on. So keep up the great work, and we'll talk to you soon.
You got it. There he is. Nick Olczyk right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.